The night wind swept over the prairie, carrying the dry scent of sage and dust. The fire crackled low between them, its glow touching only the edges of her face. She sat hunched forward, arms wrapped around her knees, staring into the flames as though they might give her the answer she'd been looking for her whole life. The cowboy sat across from her, head resting beside him, his hands rough and still as stone, waiting for her words to fall like coals from her lips. Finally, she spoke, her voice brittle, like something too often broken. "You'll leave," she said, eyes fixed on the fire. "They always do. Every man who's ever come through those hills, they promise the sun, the stars, forever, but when the wind changes, so do they." Her jaw tightened, and she dug her nails into the fabric of her skirt. "I stopped believing a long time ago." The cowboy didn't answer right away. He watched her, watched the way the firelight painted her hair in soft gold, the way her shoulders trembled though she tried to hold herself steady. In his chest, something ached, not the fleeting pull of a strain when he recognized a wound he'd once borne himself. "Maybe they had their reasons," he said at last, voice low and steady, "but none of them were mine." She laughed softly, but there was no mirth in it. It was sharp and sad, the laugh of someone who had long since learned how to mask pain with disbelief. "That's what they all say, before the road calls them off. Before they vanish into the dust like it never mattered." Her eyes flicked up to him then, bright and wet with unfallen tears. "And I'm left with silence. Always silence." The cowboy leaned forward, the fire reflecting in his eyes. "I don't make promises I can't keep." "Then don't make any at all," she shot back quickly, her voice breaking. "Don't you dare tell me forever. Don't tell me tomorrow. Don't." Her breath faltered, and she bit down hard on her trembling lip. "I can't watch another back walking away into the horizon. It would kill me." For a long moment, the only sound was the fire. He let the silence stretch, not to wound her but to let her words live in the air, to let her grief have room. Then, with a steadiness that did not waver, he said, "I'll be here tomorrow, and always." Her head jerked slightly, as though the words were a strike she hadn't expected. She stared at him, searching his face for the cracks in his voice, the lie waiting behind the certainty. But all she found was the stillness of a man who had carved his life against storms, who had weathered emptiness and loss, who knew what it was to be left and to stay. "You don't know me," she whispered, as though clinging to the last splinter of her armor. "You don't know what I've done. What I've lost. I am not someone men stay for." He shook his head slowly. "Maybe I don't know everything you've carried. Maybe I don't know the shadows that chase you when you close your eyes at night. But I know the woman sitting in front of me now. And I know she's worth standing still for." Her lips parted, but no sound came. She turned her head sharply, blinking into the night, as though she couldn't bear to let him see the storm breaking inside her. But even in her silence, her body betrayed her, the way her shoulders sank just slightly, as if for the first time she wanted to believe. The cowboy stood then, brushing the dust from his hands, and walked around the fire. She tensed when he drew near, but he only crouched beside her, close enough for her to feel his warmth, close enough that she could hear the steadiness of his breath. He didn't touch her, didn't force her, didn't reach to close the gap between them. He only said it again, softer this time, not as a vow to be tested, but as a truth carried in his bones. "Tomorrow, I'll still be here. And the next day, and the one after that." Her tears came then, not in a rush but slowly, as if each one was a stone pried loose from the walls she had spent a lifetime building. She covered her face with her hands, her voice breaking into the night. "Don't you understand? I want to believe you. But if you're wrong, if you're like the rest, I won't survive it." He let her cry, let her words fall ragged and raw. When she lifted her face again, streaked and shining in the firelight, he met her gaze without flinching. "Then I guess I better not be wrong." And as the fire burned low, and the night drew its curtain of stars over the wide and waiting land, she leaned, hesitant, trembling, just enough that her shoulder brushed against his arm. She didn't say another word. She didn't need to. The spark had already been lit, and in the quiet space between them, hope stirred like a flame refusing to die. The first light of dawn stretched over the prairie, pale and silver before the sun rose, pulling the shadows back into the far hills. She woke with the embers of the fire still warm and the blanket of her own doubt wrapped tight around her. For a moment, she almost didn't look, almost didn't dare, because she'd convinced herself that when she opened her eyes, the ground where he'd been would already be empty, marked only by boot tracks leading into forever. But when she turned, he was still there. The cowboy stood a little distance away, his broad back to her as he hauled a bucket from the old well beside the cabin. His movements were unhurried, steady, the kind of rhythm that spoke not of a man in flight but of one who had already decided to stay. The sound of the rope creaking against wood, the bucket sloshing with water, broke the silence of the waking land more clearly than any words could have. She sat up slowly, brushing dust from her skirt, eyes never leaving him. He didn't look back right away. Instead, he poured the water into a trough, where the single horse tethered near the fence stretched down its muzzle to drink greedily. Then he wiped his hands on his jeans, reached for another empty bucket, and went back to the well. As though this place were his. As though leaving had never once entered his mind. "Why?" she asked finally, her voice quiet and rough with sleep. He glanced over his shoulder, sunlight catching in his eyes. "Why what? You're still here." He gave her a small, almost boyish smile. "Told you I would be." She lowered her gaze, fingers twisting at the hem of her dress. Words rose in her throat, but she swallowed them down. Promises didn't mean anything yet, not until she saw whether he could stand through the weight of her life. When the sun climbed higher, painting the world in gold, he worked without being asked. He mended the fence where the rails leaned, his strong hands pulling the wood into place. He cleared brush near the corral, rolled up his sleeves, and let the sweat streak down his arms without complaint. She watched him through the cabin window at first, wary, like a deer keeping its distance from the hunter's hand. But after a while, she found herself stepping out, drawn into the slow rhythm of his effort. She carried a basket of laundry down to the creek, eyes flicking to him again and again, half expecting to see him saddle his horse and vanish once he thought she wasn't watching. But each time, he was still there, driving a post into the earth, leaning into the work with the quiet persistence of a man who didn't need to be told what mattered. By noon, he was at the woodpile, splitting logs with clean, sharp strikes of the axe. She brought him a dipper of water, and he took it, pausing just long enough to drink before meeting her gaze. There was no triumph in his eyes, no smugness that said, "See, I told you so." Only that same calm steadiness, like the ground beneath her feet. "You don't have to," she said softly, offering the empty dipper back. "Maybe not," he answered, setting another log on the block. "But I want to." The words left her disarmed, and she turned quickly, retreating toward the cabin, afraid of how easily her walls might fall if she stayed near him too long. "No," he said simply, without hesitation. "Tomorrow I'll still be here." Her breath caught, but before she could press further, the sound of hooves carried across the prairie. She stiffened, every muscle in her body drawn tight. Dust rose in the distance, and within it, the dark outlines of riders grew clearer. He followed, her gaze, already reaching for his rifle. "You expecting company?" Her silence was answer enough. The riders fanned out as they neared, 5 of them, hard men with dust-caked clothes and eyes like flint. She recognized them before they even reined up near the fence, the same men who had once promised to help, to protect, before turning on her when they realized she couldn't pay what she didn't have. "Well, look at this," the lead rider called, grinning with a mouth half ruined by missing teeth. "Didn't think we'd find you still clinging to this scrap of dirt. And you've found yourself a new guard dog, too." She shrank back a step, but the cowboy stepped forward, rifle easy in his hands, his voice as calm as if he were discussing the weather. She said no. "That's all you need to hear." The men laughed, low and cruel, but there was something in the way he stood, unshaken, unmovable, that wiped the smirk from at least one face. "You think you're gonna stop us, stranger?" The leader sneered. The cowboy's jaw tightened. "I don't think. I know." For the first time, she saw it, not just his words from the night before, not just his steady labor through the day, but the steel in him, the unshakable truth that he had meant every syllable when he said he would stay. And standing there with the sky bleeding fire and the dust curling around their boots, she felt the walls inside her crack a little wider. Because maybe, just maybe, tomorrow wouldn't bring another goodbye. Maybe tomorrow, she wouldn't be left with silence.